Welcome to the Thursday, October the 9th, 2025 edition of Denison Forum's Daily Article Podcast. Today's daily article is written by cultural theologian Dr. Jim Denison and narrated by yours truly, Chris Elkins. President Trump wrote yesterday evening on Truth Social, quote, "I am very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed-upon line as the first step toward a strong, durable, and everlasting peace." End quote. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his government would meet today to approve the agreement and bring all our dear hostages home. Hamas similarly announced that it had reached an agreement that ends the war in Gaza, provides for the withdrawal of the occupation, allows the entry of aid, and implements a prisoner exchange. End quote. If Israel's ministers approve the deal, the IDF must withdraw from Gaza to the agreed line, which would likely happen within 24 hours. The 72-hour clock would then begin, where Hamas must release the living hostages, which would likely occur on Monday, though the return of the bodies of the deceased hostages will take longer. Once the hostages are returned, Israel is expected to release 250 Palestinians in Israeli prisons and 1,700 Palestinians who have been detained in Gaza during the conflict. The hostages' families released a statement. Their return is a condition for the rehabilitation and revival of Israeli society as a whole. We will not rest or be quiet until the return of the last hostage. We will bring them back. We will rise. End quote. If you are wondering what life has been like for Israelis held captive by Hamas for 2 years, I strongly urge you to read Eli Sharabi's new book, Hostage. He was kidnapped by Hamas on October 7th and spent 491 days in captivity. His memoir is deeply painful to read as he describes the brutal torture, horrifically inhumane conditions, and near starvation he and his fellow captives endured. But through it all, Eli chose to be a survivor. He did not know if his wife and children were alive, so he determined to live for them. He chose not to let the terrorists take his will to live. He writes that he and the hostages imprisoned in his tunnel with him were encouraged by a sentence one of them shared with the others. Quote, "He who has a why can bear any how." Even when Eli was finally freed and learned that his brother, his wife, and his 2 daughters had been murdered by the terrorists, he chose to write his book to encourage support for the remaining hostages. His story became the fastest-selling book in Israeli history. Eli's courage is made all the more remarkable by the fact that it is unremarkable in his nation. Last Tuesday, I wrote to my friends in Israel to express my sorrow and solidarity with them on the 2nd anniversary of Hamas's horrific terrorist attack against their people. One of my friends wrote back with this story. An 18-year-old girl wanted to join the Israeli army, but her weight was too low. She failed. She tried again, this time putting stones in her pocket. She made it. Unfortunately, she died on the 7th of October. Friedrich Nietzsche is sometimes called the father of postmodernism, a movement that has led to the denial of absolute truth, which has come to dominate our culture. In his book, Twilight of the Idols, the atheistic philosopher asked, "Is man only a mistake of God, or God only a mistake of man?" Because he was convinced that God is dead, he was equally convinced that he had to find his own meaning and purpose in life. Nietzsche therefore famously asserted, quote, "What does not kill me strengthens me," end quote. And he made the statement Eli Sharabi's fellow captives paraphrasistically embraced, "When one has one's wherefore of life, one gets along with almost every how." Eli's resolve to survive his horrific captivity illustrates this maxim, as does the 18-year-old Israeli soldier who died serving her country. Our confused and chaotic post-truth culture can learn much from their examples of purpose-driven courage, as can all of us who call Jesus our Lord. For Christians, our wherefore of life has been chosen for us. Jesus' call was consistent across the Gospels. Follow me. Not follow my teachings or follow my church, but follow me. The word translated follow means to live alongside and obey unconditionally. Jesus' call is to live with him and for him, to know him intimately, and then to make him known publicly. The more emphatically our post-Christian culture rejects this call, the more courageously you and I must embrace it. Let's close with an example. Yesterday was the birthday of the famed missionary Jim Elliot. He and his wife Elizabeth followed God's call to the Ecuadorian jungle, where he and 4 other missionaries were speared to death. After his martyrdom, his wife and their young daughter moved into the Akawadani village to live among those who killed him and share the gospel with them. This remarkable story was shared around the world, inspiring millions to serve God through missions. Jim's most famous words were written in his journal on October the 28th, 1949. He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose. He understood the essence of the gospel from Colossians 1:27, Christ in you, the hope of glory. He therefore embraced the same wherefore of life as the Apostle Paul in verse 29, for this I toil, struggling with all his energy that he powerfully works in me. His wife agreed. According to Elizabeth Elliot, quote, the secret is Christ in me, not me in a different set of circumstances, end quote. How courageously will you embrace and share this secret today? Listeners like you support Denison Forum's mission to deliver news discerned differently. As a ministry nonprofit, we are fully donor supported. To partner with us, please donate today using the donate link in our show notes.